passing, yards, touchdowns. Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback stacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Sarek, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. Ron, this is the beginning of Season 6, Episode 151. We had a little bit over 2.5 months since our last podcast. How are you feeling? I know we're going to talk about a lot of things, but how are you feeling right now?
Man, it's been a lengthy layoff, and I'm ready to get back into it. So glad the season is getting to a start here in a couple weeks, and glad in a couple months we'll have football right back in action. So
yeah, I'm debating whether or not we should do a live stream when the schedule comes out, but it comes out like in the middle of the day, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but I'm thinking about it. But let's see how it goes. This is we're just gonna talk about the draft and the free agents because we just had the draft a couple of days. We're gonna have some NFL news. We're gonna talk about the Bravo entanglement. We're gonna yeah, sure is. We're gonna talk about Diego Pavia and what's going on. Why is he on my feed so much? And then we're going to talk about a little bit about Gronk and the reason why Otterson, the team, put him on the Hall of Fame path. But first, let's get to the news and let's talk about the elephant in the room, Ron. Mike Brabo and his, I guess it's a 6-year-long affair with Rossini. Now, I know that this is like a couple of weeks old, but I feel like the New York Post keeps digging and they just keep finding stuff. Like, where are you right now with this whole thing?
Honestly, I'm here for the entertainment. As everything comes out, every single day, I just find it hilarious. So I text you and the rest of the friend group just to make fun of Vrabel and the Patriots, and I just find it funny, to be honest with you. I think it's a stupid story, but it is a story. It's something I'll use to clown the Patriots.
Yeah, because it's when I look at it from a distance, when I take a step back, I go, number one, this has nothing to do with football. It's irrelevant. Number two,
it does in the sense that
Well, he missed one day of the draft. Her. Well, I'm not even gonna touch Diana. Because she's the one that resigned. She's the one that messed up her career.
She's taking the brunt of it, right?
Yeah,
she's taking all the heat.
I'm just talking about Mike Brabo right now. Like, yeah, he missed day 3 of the draft, but overall, not football related.
Mm-hmm.
Only in this country are we like obsessed when someone has an affair outside of the marriage. But
right.
we know that it was he didn't break any laws. It was a mutual affair, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
And she got inside track, and I guess he was getting the booty. I don't know what he got out of this because we don't know because the NFL hasn't done an investigation, right?
Right.
So we don't know. It's
not worthy of an investigation, basically.
So basically, that's their way of like shutting things down, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we don't know if he got any anything football related,
right?
But I'm almost like in the same place as you are. I'm like, it's a slow season. This is very entertaining. You really don't have a lot to say, a lot to talk about at this moment. So why not?
I love all the internet jokes and memes and stuff come out of it, though. They're hilarious.
I mean,
I find it funny.
When it comes to the internet, that they're not gonna take any any prisoners when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. So yeah. However, I do find it not so much entertainment, but like the fact that they're floating around that, he might resign, or the fact that, there's someone else waiting, whether it be Josh or someone else. And like, we're not even there yet. We're not even there yet. Well, he's not going to do it.
Yeah. Listen, I think, again, it's the slow season and people are just going to make stuff up and, and then they'll write about it without any facts, or any details and they'll just run with it. So that's what happens this time of year. You got to take everything you hear with a grain of salt. I think as far as Vrabel, he's done his punishment, quote unquote punishment, with missing day 3 of the draft, and it's time to move on. And I don't think you're going to hear any more about this from Vrabel or the Patriots.
Well, the Patriots want to like bury this, right? They want to. Mm-hmm. They don't want to put this in the rear. They don't want to even touch it. But as it is with any other story, anything to keep it alive, anything to keep it going. And I feel like that's, enter the New York Post. They really like won't give up on the story. Mm-hmm. New York Post, your boy TMZ. Mike Fioro.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like he does a video every day.
Right.
And then of course the Boston radio is all over this. Right. I had to I listened to it for like 2 minutes and then I had to turn it off. Because they had some like otherworldly theories, and I was just like, all right, this is like Joe Rogan territory. Like this is like,
right.
So I had to turn it off. But I mean, like you said, this is more like 80% entertainment and 20% facts. I feel like we don't truly know the facts. Other than,
I will say this: the Patriots are developing like a reputation. Coaches,
developing,
owners,
they've had
players. Yeah,
they've had a reputation.
Right, between Kraft and Diggs last season and stuff that he went through, and now Vrabel,
Belichick with a 24-year-old.
At some point, this starts to become like a little bit of a distraction. I don't think we're there yet. I think they'll move on and just focus on football. But I think when you're dealing with this stuff every single season and off season, it just becomes tiring. And I think it's up to Robert Kraft to figure out and Vrabel to figure out how to like put an end to this, like going forward.
Well, I will say this, that I this is the only good thing about this story is that it is happening in the off season. Because if this was the middle of the season and this news broke out, then every loss would be attributed to like, he should have not done it. He should have not stepped out. He should have not cheated. So, yeah. So, I'm sure there's going to be more to come. I'm sure. I'm almost positive. Until we get to like OTAs or something. But,
right.
So, the other set of news, Diego Pavia. And we touched on it last night when we were watching the game, the basketball game. He showed up a lot in my feed, and I'm questioning now, like, where was he gonna win the Heisman? Like, are some people bitter about it? Like, why is he such a big story after the draft? Like, what's your theory?
I think it's the fall from the top, basically, right? You got someone was a Heisman candidate, a finalist, didn't make it. And his, the comments he made after the fact and how he threw the Heisman voters under the bus and blamed them, and and he just acted extremely unprofessional, which I think may have contributed to him not being drafted at all. He probably may not have been drafted either way. There's plenty of Heisman finalists who don't get drafted. Um, but it's again another off-season story that they're trying to keep going. Um, and they're going to see if Bobby is able to like rebound from this and rebuild his reputation. Because right now his reputation has been tarnished just by his actions, and we'll see how things go with the Ravens.
It's just interesting because I was looking at like the different draft boards and nobody had him going in the first round. So I'm just thinking to myself like, okay, why? What's are they just? Is he just being spotlight because like you said, he just fell from grace and basically made a mockery of all the voters, made a mockery of, for some reason, like I told the Indiana, even though he had nothing to do with that. Or maybe he thinks he's better than Mendoza. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's better than he is. He thinks he knows more than the scouts. And realistically, he's a 5'10" quarterback with an average arm who did some great things in college environment. But, a lot of quarterbacks like Tim Tebow, like, plenty others have, college football and the NFL are two different sports. And what Bobby was able to do in college just doesn't translate into the NFL environment. So I think it was always on the fence of whether he'd be drafted or not. And I think his attitude and unprofessionalism, I think, is what the story really is about. It's, how can he rebound from that, the way he acted at the Heisman ceremony?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping that this is the last that I hear of him. Because yeah, it's like you said, like why is he everywhere? Like Twitter, my Instagram, like even
this isn't might be the last story about him, but I don't think with the NIL and how much these players are making, right? There's going to be more obvious stories. There's going to be more Carson Beck, a guy who did actually get drafted, but he had whole lengthy history of like on and off the field like issues with him dating a porn star and all this other stuff. It's just like these players are getting millions of dollars in the NIL deals. They're staying in college longer, and they're walking around campus and driving nice cars, and they're leading a totally different life than the players that used to come out 5-10 years ago when NIL never existed. So I think you're going to see more stories like this. Money gets to people, it changes them, and I think you're going to have more embarrassing situations like this going forward.
It's more fodder for the journalists out there. So let's see what happens. The other set of news is Gronk into the Patriots Hall of Fame. It was announced yesterday or today, I'm not sure, but like I mentioned to you earlier, I think the reason why this happened, why it didn't happen last year or 2 years ago, whatever the case may be, I think it's because the Patriots signed Romeo Doubs this summer, part of the free agents, and he was going to wear number 87, which is Gronk's number when he wore it at New England. And that drove the fans mad. They were just, the boards were filling up, the phone calls to the radio station. Why is Romeo Doubs wearing number 87? He should know that that's for Gronk. No. And I think the team just gave in and was like, okay, fine, we'll just retire his number. So, yes, he was a great player, but they should have done it last year. You know, because I think the year before the year before was, what's his name? Was Tom Brady. Then they did Julian Edelman, and now they do it Gronk. So it makes sense, but still, that just goes to show you that it's all about the money. So it doesn't matter. All right, Ron. So let's get to the draft. Actually, let's get to the free agents first. So were you impressed by any of the free agents that the Steelers got?
Yeah, I think they did pretty well in free agency. They went out and got 1A or 1B running back Enrico Dowdle. They brought in a starting cornerback in Jamal Dean. they got a couple safeties. They picked up, some offensive line and defensive line help. But the biggest news, I think, for them, the free agency period was being able to trade for Michael Pittman Jr. So they needed a second receiver. They didn't have that to Metcalf. They lost Calvin Austin in the offseason. So they went out and traded for Pittman Jr., who's, I think, could immediately come in and be that number 2 receiver that they've been looking for.
Yeah, I like the Pittman Jr. trade. I think he's legit, and even Enrico Dotto, because he had a good season with Carolina, right?
Great season.
Yeah. So, yeah, they did pretty good with the free agents. The Patriots, they got some people. The most, I like the fact that they got the safety Kevin Byard from the Bears, although he's kind of up there with in age. Like we talked about, wide receiver Romeo Doubs. He's fairly young. I think he's 26, 27, but I think he's gonna strive with Drake May. And they got Vera Tucker, which is a guard from the Jets. Now, he was a first round draft pick, but every year, the last 2 or 3 years, he's always had like a season-ending injury.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, he's a huge guy. I don't know his stats, but he's a huge guy. If he can stay healthy, I think he's a steal. But that's if he can stay healthy. But I think they did pretty okay in the free agent. And then they got DeMontre Jones from the Ravens. He's a pretty good tackler. I don't think he's gonna be that, the Kavon Chasen like he was last year. But it is what it is. I think that they want to get the defense. They want to really and we'll get to the draft picks, but I think they want to really show up the defense. They don't want, because I think last year, even though the defense played really, really well, they got lucky because no one got seriously injured. Mm-hmm. I think that this year they're really protecting themselves by going out there and drafting and trading for defensive players.
The biggest news, I think, right, so is what has not happened yet. They got Dobbs, they lost Diggs, but A.J. Brown, is obviously hasn't been finalized. I think it has to be, post June 1st?
Yeah, June 2nd.
Yeah, something like that. But A.J. Brown seems like it's a done deal. So there's your number 1 and number 2 receiver maybe for next year.
Who would be number 2?
Dobbs, I would imagine, right?
So they have Dobbs. They still have they're gonna have AJ Brown. They still have Kayshon Boutte, which he was, for some reason they were like, he was rumored to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Mike Collins. So yeah, you're right. I think Dobbs will be number 2.
Yeah, so they're probably going to be your top 2, and you have some guys around them that are that can contribute. You have some the rookies from the last couple of years too. You'll see where they're at if they've developed. So I think it's I think the haul that you've had so far this offseason has been pretty good. I think it was a good free agency period for both of our teams.
Yeah, but we both know that it wasn't wide receiver that let them down in the biggest game of the year. It was the offensive line. So who did the Steelers draft that you think has potential?
Yeah, listen, I think if I was to characterize the draft for the Steelers, I'd say we're going to need to wait and see. But I think there's a lot of upside with a lot of players that they've drafted. Starting with the offensive tackle, their first round pick. I know they tried to get a receiver with their first round and they missed out, but I think they landed in a perfect spot to get was probably arguably the most athletic tackle coming out of the draft. They were able to trade up and get Jerry Bernard, the receiver out of Alabama, that they needed to get, which is a number 3 receiver. his high end is probably a number 2 in the NFL. Certainly a number 3. I don't think he has a high upside. He could be a number 1 down the road, but I think he's someone that's going to be extremely reliable and be able to contribute immediately. And then, I think they reached for a couple picks, including like Drew Aller, their quarterback. But Aller is a quarterback that has all the traits: really tall, 6'5", 235 or something like that. Has a huge arm, best arm coming out. Very sloppy footwork, which can be fixed. I think McCarthy is someone that can like get with him and get, fix what's in between his ears, fix his footwork and stuff like that. So I think he's a little bit of a project, but he could be someone, he could strike gold and he could be your franchise quarterback potentially in 2 or 3 years or so. And then the rest of the draft, they shored up, they showed up some positions on the offensive line with the tight ends. They got like a special teamer. I thought they did pretty well with this draft. Not any like high names you'd say looking. Not any like great names that were out there and people were wanting to necessarily go after. But I think you're gonna find like. And we won't know for 2 or 3 years how good this draft is, but I think a lot of these guys that we drafted are like contributors, guys that can contribute for the Steelers for years to come. How good they are, like I said, we'll see. But I thought it was a pretty decent draft.
Yeah, I guess you can say the same. I mean, the Patriots didn't draft anybody that you would say, oh, you can just plug him in year one right off the bat. All these people are, and they got a couple of edge players from, Illinois. They got another edge player from Boston College. To be honest, though, the only person that I want to see how he competes this summer is that tight end for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. There was a lot of comparison to Gronkowski, but
rightfully so.
Let's wait and see before we do that. But he's a big guy. Same thing as Gronkowski. He got hurt in college. Didn't play that many games, but we'll see. I mean, this guy is the way that he moves and the way that he catches the ball and he goes up for the ball and all that stuff. I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah.
The only head scratcher is that they took a quarterback out of Texas Tech, but I mean it makes sense because they let Dobbs go, so they needed a quarterback for to back up Tommy DeVito, or maybe he'll be better than Tommy DeVito. I don't know, but none of these draft picks are gonna be like day one plugins, but who knows? If they develop right, especially the number 1 pick, because he has a lot of potential physically, but they're saying that mentally maybe not, especially by that twirl he did when he, I don't know if ESPN did that on purpose and they were like, you know what, just use this clip because he did it in front of the camera, so that means we got to go with it, but
your last 2 tackles, man, unbelievable.
No, not even last 2. Like you can even go back to when Bill Belichick, when he took that Cole Strange first round. He was a failure. Now he's with Miami. I don't know if it's just Elliott Wolf when he's picking. I don't know because Mike Vrabel was there, so I don't know. Yeah. So let's see.
I think both our teams were kind of tough. We're in the back end of the draft, and they. A lot of linemen went, a lot of the tackles went, early. And like I said, if we didn't get Max, if he didn't fall into our laps, and we ended up taking a receiver, there was nothing after that. Like we would be stuck without a tackle. So, and like I said, Max is not necessarily ready to come in day one and start. I think I can see him sitting behind someone and developing for a little bit. And then hopefully by year 2, he can be a starter. So I think we're just, this draft didn't have a lot of for sure tackles, offensive linemen. And, we're going to have to work to develop these guys to make sure that they can be like good starters in the NFL.
This is even though, like you mentioned before, with the NIL deal, these aren't like freshmen and sophomores. These are like 4 or 5 year guys. Mm-hmm. So they kind of know, they have some techniques down, but like I said, they're not day one starters. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. I mean, these are like 24, 25-year-olds, not 21 and 20-year-olds. So I don't know if that will make a difference, but we'll see. So Ron, is there anything else that you want to say? Because, if we don't do the schedule release, we probably won't do another episode until August. So where are you right now? Like, are you happy that you're not going to have Aaron Rodgers, or are you like, you know what? The train is about to leave. Like, where are you right now?
I think the Steelers have played themselves with this whole Aaron Rodgers situation. I think they got to focus on who's there and not worry about the people who aren't. I think today was the first step when they went and placed that. I forgot. I don't even know what it's called. That
it's
tender
like
or whatever.
It's like tender, like first something.
Yeah. So if he wants to go sign somewhere else, so be it. We can at least get a comp pick from it. And, and then after like July 22nd or something like that, if he wants to play, he has to play for the Steelers, or if another team wants him, they have to make a trade with the Steelers. So I think Steelers did a good job of protecting themselves, but I still think they've looked terrible in this whole entire situation, because all at the end of the season, all off season, they were talking about how they expected a decision, before the draft, and it's not going to take as long as it did last year, and all this other stuff. And here we are, Aaron Rodgers taking his time, as he does, and controlling everything. So I still think the Steelers did a poor job of managing this, and then, honestly, it's time to move on and focus on the guys that are there, like Howard. Let's see what we have with Howard. Let's see where we can develop Aller. To, see if he can be that franchise, and let's just move on. And let's turn the page and get going.
So are you still certain that the team is going to go 10-7?
I think so. I think regardless of who a quarterback plays, I think the offense is going to look different. We're going to push the ball downfield a little bit more. Especially if it's like Will Howard or Drew Aller. I think Rodgers, if he comes back, he'll still, check the ball down and, get rid of the ball quickly. But I with their defense the way they are, and some of the improvements, like I said, they've made to the offense now, that we have like a legitimate number 2, a legitimate like number 3, and then Roman Wilson. I think they can score some points, and that I think they can get to 9 or 10 wins, like they do every year.
Well, Mike Tomlin, when he went on Sunday Night Football to like formally introduce himself, he said, "Put a gun to my head, I think Aaron Rodgers comes back." Mm-hmm. Now they showed Aaron Rodgers not like 2 days ago. He's in Europe, like enjoying himself. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's people going to voluntary workouts, and he's just like, he doesn't care about that stuff. So
no, same thing. He complained about with Favre, and how Favre treated. He's doing the same thing. These that's what they do. That's how these quarterbacks act.
Not if your name is Kirk Cousins. You just you want that paycheck. You just show up. Right. You want that paycheck. So next time that we meet, let's see if we can pull off that stream from the schedule release, then it's on. Then that's when we do our next episode. If not, we'll take another 2.5 month break, 3 months break, and then we'll start the show, and then we'll start the real football season. So until then, I'm say peace.
Peace.
All right, that's it, guys. That's the end of the show. Thanks so much for all your support and listening today. If you got any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to email us at simsportsmedia@gmail.com. That's SYMSPORTSMEDIA@gmail.com. Peace.